pages as the story The Armless Maiden, because I thought that out of all the stories I looked at, I thought that, well, obviously I wanted to do the snowman, I wanted to do the Armless Maiden, and I wanted to do Red Shoes. And Red Shoes, I think, while it's a good story, I don't think it had enough plot to make a comic book, so I thought that one would be better as as a full page illustration, and I think that the snowman would be better as a children's story, as it is a children's story, and I just want to modernise it. The Armless Maiden, however, has lots of different conflicts, which I think could be quite interesting to make as a comic book. I decided to start in the middle, well, not in the middle, in the beginning of the story, but not right at the beginning, but just when the conflict starts to happen, because I think this is the most interesting part to start with. I decided to use black and white colour, so no colour, for the comic book, and I decided to do it with biros, like pens, to shade it and everything with a fine liner outline, because I wanted to make the story interesting, and so that the background would be plain and the focal points would be shaded, which I think is much more which is similar to like a comic book, which is when they zoom in and it's like one colour background. I just thought it'd be better as a black and white story. Also with the fact it can get quite gruesome later on, with the fact that her arms are cut off and like she's tangled around, so she has to go searching and stuff. So I think it was better to have black and white illustration, so no colour, because I don't want to get too gory. And it's for adults, the comic book, but like because it's a mature story, so I wanted it to kind of have a mature feel to it, which is why no colour again, black and white, quite simple. Illustrations are detailed-ish, but not very detailed, because again it's comic books, you need lots of repetition of the faces and stuff. So keep repeating the same really intricate hairstyle. It's never going to come out exactly the same, so I kept everything quite simple and just let the shading kind of make the clothes and the outfits. I think this would work well as a comic book because it's got the mature themes, it looks quite good, it's got like a nice feel to it. It's detailed, but not in a way that it's hyper detailed and would take forever to come out, and it's not really simplified that like it's not interesting. There's the detail is put in for reasons, so you know what the focus point is. I decided to make the Red Shoes story the single page illustration, and for this I was debating. I thought maybe I could do computer illustration where I'd illustrate the shoe and make them look all pointed and everything, but I thought that doing computer designing basically illustration would work better for the snowman story, the little children's story. So I looked at all the other things I did, styles I looked at, saw the pen was out. I didn't really think pencil would work as well because it's red shoe, so I wanted the colour red to be prominent. I did consider doing a collage, but I just don't think that it would end up being very simple, and I didn't really want that. And while I did want to use watercolour, I didn't want to use it in the traditional sense of where I painted the shoe and make it intricate and use shading and everything, because that's very overdone. And considering I wanted the target audience to be basically teenagers, about between the ages of, I want to say 12 to 15. So the stories are a bit more mature, like with the fact that she loses her feet, but like I didn't want it to lose, and like the stories, and it's like proper reading and like full on both and everything. But I didn't want to make it really childish, and I didn't want to make it super realistic, because if I was going to paint the shoe realistic, I might as well just take a photo. I thought it could be really interesting to cut out the shoe shape in stencils and then like sponge on or flick paint at the shoe. I ended up really liking this, and then I decided to, instead of using any of the prints I made, I really liked how the shoe actually ended up. So like the actual stencil with all the paint splatters around it and the sponge marks and everything. I thought that was the best thing. This works well with the story because red shoe, it's like a nice thing. It's a bit more a twist on the traditional way of doing watercolour, which I think is quite interesting. Because it's contemporary-ish and newish, and like a bit more, I think that teen kids would like it, and since like that, I then put like paint splatters on either side of the writing, so then it's like kind of continuation. The snowman. The first bit of the footage got lost for this, so we'll just pretend, and I wanted the story as the story is very classic and everyone knows it and everyone's heard of the snowman, I wanted to do it, but I also wanted to add a modern edge to it because the drawings for it are gorgeous and like the whole movie, it's beautiful. But like for a young child, which I imagine this age is like, I guess 3 to 5, so like gets the grasp of reading and kind of wants to read, but also just is really interested in the pictures. I know this because I've talked to my nephew and my cousin who are about that age. And during that age, they were very into more the photos and like the pictures and the illustrations. They wanted to infer the story from that rather than the words, which is another reason I think the snow is pretty good, because there's no words. So the story, while the story is quite linear and there is quite a thing to it, you can kind of have your own twist on it, which I think some kids are really good, and it's good to like boost imagination in kids. And like I think that adding the whole sleeker, smoother look and having slight shading and everything on the snowman, as well as having, instead of little blocks to show each story, I have a double page spread where the story happens over the double page, so it's like it moves. So it's not just this happened, then this happened, then this happened. It's like it flows better, which I think would be a bit more like kids would work better for the story, considering there are no words. So there's no real reason to chop it up too much unless obviously you change your scene. So that's what I did. I did computer animation again to modernise it, because kids these days quite like all the computer animations and stuff. And while I did consider doing like maybe hand drawn or anything, I think that the computer animation works, the computer drawing illustration works better, as it would like appeal more to kids, as it's kind of more what they're used to. And like it could also work for a bit younger kids, for like their parents to help them guide through the story and things. It's quite a nice kind of look to it. So yeah, as most people know the story of the snowman, it's quite simple. There's not really anything I can really do too much about it. It's very much this is the story. So I thought that the best way to make the twist on it is to add a different style, slightly different elements, and make the pages without the white borders and without like chopping it up too much.